the telling of the story of Prehistoric Zoo, Season number 1, The Raising of the Zoo, episodes number 40 to number 46. Episode number 40. In this episode, a tradesman named Cassander arrives nearby, camping 300 to 400 meters to the south across a river in the plains so that way he can trade with the villages. The Weekly Prophet News report says, Cassander comes to Thog Creek. Cassander, the famous and renowned merchant that travels around lands in the southern north side of Mott's and is very rich, has declared that he will be coming to Thog Creek and Mascowell Valley to trade with the people of Saobbb. Some of you have probably heard of him. He is known in about 8 Mott sub-realms, and is a very important celebrity that will trade and sell items that are very expensive, rare, and from far places. In Thog Creek and Mascowell Valley, he will set up a large tent building with many things to the public and would like to exchange Will Saobbb, Priest Paul, and Varlet independently. He will be coming on August 16th and leave sometime in October, but the date for that is not specified and may be changed once decided. He will be coming with 5 assistants, Dan of Ma, Cork, Refer Make the Human, Fogda, and Bojak. Every day he will come from his tent a bit away from Thog Creek and come with his 5 companions to sell. Yes fellers, I will meet him and sell with him things I have which I will not say in this prophet. Well, this is exciting people, but this prophet is already the longest one I've ever written here in Thog Creek, or Mascowell Valley. My prophets go to them too, so I say go luck with the buying fellers. Flames goes to see the 5 of them while Stripe is hungry, so after the guards say to him, "Good day Flames Crescent Moon," it's going normal while holding an iron sword, an iron pickaxe, a stone pick, a cobblestone axe, a combination of flint with steel, a cobble hoe, all in perfect shape, 32 coins, and a piece of gunpowder. Once he does get to the blue wool and oak plank tent where the merchants are, Cassander says, "Look at these items. What would you like to buy?" As they assumably exchange goods with each other. This is in contrast to his subordinates who just say, "Hello Flames Crescent Moon," and the villagers who constantly repeat, "Aw, his house. So beautiful." Episode number 41 here, Flames of the Crescent Moon does an event at the zoo, which is supposed to be an activity that tourists watch after seeing signs about it that were posted on the right side of the entrance area. In this case, he rides Stripe the Brachiosaurus, who he assumably has to tame first, though it isn't clear as to whether he had tamed Stripe when he was hatched or not. He would have tamed Stripe either by using a whip or by hand feeding him instead of just having him eat from a feeder in order to domesticate him before riding him around his enclosure, which was for some reason considered to be unpopular by the tourists who like saying "wow" and "glug glug." Episode number 42. In this episode of PZ, there is another weekly prophet which Flames reads detailing how Cassander and his followers vanished and were no longer selling items like scarab shovels, bricks with gold trees engraved on them, sun fruit plants, shards of pottery, silver acorns, necklaces, mithril ingots, blue orbs, mango saplings, and blue axes. This says, Cassander mysteriously disappears. Last night, about 1.5 hours before dawn, when Cassander and his assistants set up for the day, they unexpectedly did not come. As dawn came, S.A. and Priest Paul sent out a search party and discovered there weren't any tents and there was no trace of what had happened save that the grass had turned to dirt, which of course happens all the time. It's just that tells us how recent it is. The builders are taking down the selling tent and dealing with the treasures, and Varlet has his managed in Mascowell Valley. S.A. has called people from his other colonies to try and find Cassander or at least a trace of him, but so far nothing has been found. Whoever did this to Cassander, whatever he or she did, obviously covered their tracks very well, and probably wanted his treasure, which is not too surprising, though Cassander usually stays protected. We hope him and his 5 assistants are alive, but everyone, especially S.A., Paul, and Varlet are worried about this. It is depressing, but we will be able to trade no more with him, and the 3 leaders did not get to trade with him yet. Well, that's it for now, fellers. Episode number 43. After maybe waking up Cedric the guard around when he interacts with the new guards Pablo and Robin, Flames likely gets a Pachycephalosaurus in this episode, who he does not eventually name Seth or Patchy the Potato, but rather Lucamal due to how on their head they have a ring of horns on the top of the skull. The description for Lucamal is, Lucamal the Pachycephalosaurus, meaning thick-headed lizards. Pachycephalosauruses were herbivores, feeding on fruit, seeds, leaves, and insects, but not on plants that larger animals ate. It is known for its horns around its head. They lived in tropical areas in the Cretaceous period. Additionally, the Dinopedia notes how their spikes were probably used in some form of melee, likely in between other members of the species instead of any of the Ankylosauri, Triceratops, Tyrannosaurus rexes, Dracorexes, or Stygimolochs, which may not be how they are pronounced, that lived in the same time period as they did. Additionally, it details how the size of the Pachycephalosauri were on average 4.5 meters in length, 1.5 meters tall, and 25 centimeters thick in their skulls. Episode number 44. In this episode, Flames of the Crescent Moon hatches a Gallimimus in the space across from Millais that can be seen by the tourists only from the central hall of the zoo, who has a forgotten name if he or she ever was named anything at all. For no known reason, shortly after the Gallimimus was born and most likely before it had a chance to reach adulthood, it was removed and never returned to any other cage in Prehistoric Zoo, similarly to any other Gallimimus. Gallimimia were most likely omnivores who ate a combination of vegetation with high amounts of fiber and smaller animals that were low down in the food chain. Its name meant chicken mimic. Though most unlike a chicken, it was 2 meters in height and 6 meters in length, helping it escape any predators by being fast due to its long legs. This fleeing ability was aided by the rigidness of its tail, which balanced out the rest of its body as it was running, including its abnormally elongated snout. They used to be native to floodplains nearby to rivers and lakes during the later parts of the Cretaceous period, millions of years into the past. He likely used his ability to command the dinosaur in the episode with an item such as a stick in order to tell them to stay put or to roam freely. Episode number 45. At this point, the Supreme Arch Executive's house is expanded on as the roof has more quartz and golden bars on it than before, which for some reason is considered important. At about this time, the rest of the village at this point has been built up so that way the path backtracks towards the west until it meets the river, along which is another giant row of cobblestone and spruce houses. The marketplace spot from before has now been uplifted on the opposite side, even if it probably isn't finished, as at least the largest of the places is missing the wool covering over where it would have had a roof. Another section is likely in the process of being surrounded by gravel, under which is allegedly 3 connecting ravines, meaning that placing any structures on it would assumably be a safety hazard. The actual plot of the episode is that Flames gets a new prehistoric creature, Long Snout, who is a Sarcosuchus, or in other words a dinosaur that may or may not be considered to be a crocodile. The so-called flesh crocodile was 12 meters in length, allowing it to have 132 teeth in its mouth, used for carnivorous eating in freshwater tropical regions during the Cretaceous time period. The Dinopedia also notes how they were alive at the same time that iguanodontids were extant and coelacanths were alive, which they may have even consumed for food. Episode number 46. In this episode is assumably when Flames of the Crescent Moon gets a Titanous terror bird, who he names Titan as for no apparent reason. With their name meaning Titan due to their large size, these birds were extant during the Blancan and the Gelasian stages of the Pleistocene, being known for having migrated farther than the other terror birds had. This comparatively short animal, in contrast to the other terror birds and other Velociraptorids which may not be pronounced correctly, may have beaten its prey to death using its head over the 3 epochs that it was alive for. Another difference about them was their necks. specifically being shorter yet also thicker due to how this species was more heavily built.